Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CCSN podcast. I'm Chris here with Chase. Chase, how you doing?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good on this Tuesday morning. It is Tuesday. Geez, I almost lost track of time right there. But let's bounce right back into it. So we had the NFL this week, and I'm just gonna say right off the bat, I was at the Phillies game along with this guy right here. So I don't really have the luxury of watching these games, but I watched the recaps, and I could assure you that I made the right decision of going to the Phillies game on
Weird
Sunday
week.
afternoon.
Weird
What'd you
week in
say?
the NFL.
Very
Very
weird
weird
week.
week.
Very
Very
weird
happy
week.
we were not watching that and instead in probably the best environment ever, but we'll get to that later on in the podcast. I think we should just knock out some of this NFL first. What do you
Let's
want to
uh
start with?
let's start off heavy. The Bucks lost to the Carolina Panthers.
That they did.
Uh this this is so weird, the Bucks, because I feel like all season we've been talking about, like they're gonna find their way. They're gonna bounce back. They got Tom Brady, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know. I really don't know. They have the worst rushing attack in football. I mean, Leonard Fournette looks completely washed. He had that one good game, if we're considering fantasy wise, when he had a couple good receiving touchdowns. But I don't know. This team just looks old. They look like they don't want it anymore. And the Tom Brady coming back out of retirement, this could look like a big mistake, if I'm being honest right now. I understand he wanted to come back for one more run, maybe had a chance at the Super Bowl. His wide receiver corp looked fucking awesome coming into this year, but Julio Jones is hurt again every week. He's still Mike Evans. Chris Godwin still doesn't look like he's back to 100% yet. There's a lot of problems with this offensive line. There's just a lot of things about this Tampa Bay Bucks team right now that everything's going wrong, it kind of seems.
They look like one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. Tom Brady is a guy who cannot extend a play, and this is a team that would need a quarterback to extend plays if they wanted to look good. Like they would need. It's so difficult to judge Tom Brady right now because in a perfect situation, in a really good situation, he might be the best quarterback in the NFL. But the thing is, he just has some limitations, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their current state do not deal with that very well. And it's not all their fault. They had a couple of huge injuries to their offensive line in preseason and training camp. And then they had a couple of issues with the receiving group going down and being pretty thin there. I mean, they were starting Cole Beasley for a game and Rob Gronkowski retired. I don't know that they were really expecting that. But I think the bigger issue is the fact that some of the guys on that team are coasting. They're not really looking at this as contract years or anything. They got it already. They won their Super Bowl. They're on top of the hill. It's a lot easier to get knocked off of that hill than it is to climb up. And I think that's kind of where they're at right now. Like you said, they look old, and I don't know how it turns around from here. So I'm not willing to bet on them fixing it, not unless they have
Yeah,
some significant roster changes.
as Todd Bowles said, if people are just still riding the Super Bowl wave. They got to wake up, and it seems like they have just not woken up yet. And this Panthers loss, you scored 3 points against the Carolina Panthers, the team that everybody thinks is going to get the number one pick in the NFL. I mean, yes,
You did see
the
the Mike
Panthers.
Evans drop, though, correct? I mean,
I did see that. I did see that.
that was just an early game momentum killer. And I can't believe that he dropped. I've never seen that from Mike Evans. Mike Evans is we are his biggest
His father.
praisers on this show. I don't know that we're his father. That might be Marshawn Lattimore, but anyway, like we praise this guy all the time, and he came out there and just kicked us in the ass on that one. But
If I told you
whatever.
Tom Brady threw 50 passes yesterday or Sunday and they lost, I don't know if I would believe myself. And that's just crazy. He threw 50 passes and not a touchdown. The rushing attack, as I said, probably the worst rushing attack in the league. Leonard Fournette had 8 carries for 19 yards, 2.4 average. I mean, we all saw the video in the offseason when there was all of them on the treadmills, and Leonard Fournette just looked so out of shape, and everyone was saying, "Oh, he's going to come in training camp looking horrible," blah blah blah. Then he said, block out the noise. Leonard Fournette, I think you got to block out the noise
How
because
long until you give the backfield to Rashad White? He's so much better. He's so much better than Leonard Fournette, and he's been this entire year. He's way more efficient. He's a better pass blocker. I mean, I get it. Leonard Fournette was there when they won the championship, but he's not a good running back anymore. I don't know that he ever really was. Maybe in college, but he just does not deserve to be getting the majority of the touches on this team. I don't get it.
They had 15 rushing attempts on Sunday, and one of them was Tom Brady, and one was Chris Godwin. And the NFL defenses, though, they don't really have to worry about the rush right now. And when you have that offensive line that can't give Tom Brady the time in the pocket right now, it's like, what do you do? What do you do right now if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? As you said, I would not bet on this team unless they make significant changes by the trade deadline, which they got a lot of holes to fix. I don't really know if it's doable.
What tackles and what offensive
Yeah,
linemen are
exactly.
available at the trade deadline? There's not many.
Exactly.
So, I mean, maybe if you're very lucky, you can get like an Andre Dillard. And maybe that I don't think that's enough to turn anything around. So, I don't see it for the Bucks here. But on the other side of things, what do you feel about the Panthers? Because I mean, I get they won the game, but I'm not obviously I'm not convinced about the Panthers. So
The Panthers are weird. I mean, they have a lot of good pieces. And I mean, I don't know if you heard about the Brian Burns trade thing where the Panthers got offered 2 first-round picks. And I think that's kind of a lot of white noise. And I think the Panthers should have accepted that if they got offered 2 first-round picks. Brian Burns had a good game yesterday. He's raising that trade stock. He had a sack on Tom Brady, which he was very excited about. I don't know if you saw that post-game interview talking about drinking Hennessy and watching 2 really good movies. So I mean, he had a pretty good week. I like some of their pieces. I like Jeremy Chin. I like their cornerback. I'm forgetting his name right now.
JC
JC
Horn.
Horn. I like him. So they have a lot of good pieces. But one thing that I thought was pretty funny was just after they trade their franchise running back, they beat Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and C-Mac got absolutely smacked by the Chiefs on Sunday. So that was kind of funny to me. But the Panthers just got to go in tank mode. I mean, lose your games, start over, and they just got to start over. That's really it. Keep
I
some
think
of
I
your
can make this.
pieces on defense.
Yeah, I can make this pretty simple. Not a good team. Won a surprising game against another bad team. Gonna pick a little bit higher than they should, or a little bit lower than they should because they won a few of these games. I mean, look at this. They're 1 game out of first place in the division. The Panthers. How the fuck is that? And it's not the Bucks that are first place. It's the Falcons, man. This is a dead division.
Shout out
However,
Arthur Smith.
it's gonna make the Panthers not pick as high as they should, and it's going to be a bit of a waste because now you're gonna have no Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, who are not all-time great quarterbacks, but they're good prospects, and you're gonna be stuck with Matt Corral next year. So I think the Panthers are kind of shooting themselves in the foot here, but the CMC trade was very good, and I think that helped them a lot to get 4 picks for that guy, a fucking running back, the most injury-prone running back in the NFL with a horrible contract. To get 4 picks to recoup your whole entire draft thing that you lost for Sam Darnold, it's incredible. Great GM work for Tepper, I think it is, from saving a really horrible job so far. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's saving, but
he got the contract off the book too, which is an absolute W. He got a 2nd-round pick out of that. I mean, a lot of people were expecting 4th-round pick, maybe something like that, and no. So I mean, shout out to them. I mean, they're going in the right direction. But you brought up CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. I am not sold on CJ Stroud yet. I mean, I'm a lot more sold on Bryce Young, I guess I should say. I love his pocket awareness. I think his arm talent's better. And I'm not trying to be that guy, but Ohio State quarterbacks. And I am just, they're scary.
you don't want to scout the helmet on the guy. But the thing is with Stroud, you're looking for a guy in the first round with the physical tools because you see it fail so many times looking at all the other things. You want the physical tools. Look at all the best quarterbacks. They've all got them. You want the one commonality, and CJ Stroud would be an outlier if he were to be a good quarterback. Yes, he's got a good arm, but he does not fit the physical mold of most NFL quarterbacks. And that's kind of the same thing with Bryce Young. Bryce Young, he's what, 5'11"? I don't know that I really trust that. And he's not huge. He's not like a big 5'11". He's kind of skinny. But he's got kind of that Bryce Young, if I could give him a comparison, and I have not watched too much tape on the guy, and this might be a very strange comparison. It's if Allen Iverson continued to play football. I feel like he just has the arm talent and has that it factor where he's willing to go out there, take a hit, and bounce right back up and make the play. He just makes all those great plays, and he makes the it plays, which is why I'm a little bit more willing to bet on him over CJ Stroud, who I just see making perfect throws from a clean pocket. How many times have you seen that before from quarterbacks? And I just need to see a little bit more from the guy out of structure when he's getting hit. I want him with like pressure in his face. And I don't know that we're going to be able to get that because this Ohio State, the offense is just, it's meant for him not to have that. So,
I mean, yeah, CJ Stroud's in the perfect situation. Bryce Young's in the perfect situation too. But if I'm evaluating both quarterbacks,
this is the worst Bama team. This is the worst Bama team we've seen in a long time. He's getting hit all the time.
I'm talking about from a college football standard, though. I mean, I got a lot of other
not good, dude. I don't know, man.
I wouldn't say not good. I would just not say number one undisputed. I think they're still a top 10 team, obviously.
But here's the thing: their defense is so good right now, and
Will Anderson.
Exactly. It's their offense that's holding them back. Their offensive line is not run very well. I mean, I'm sure they're clamoring to get Jeff Stoutland in the building, and they don't have. This is the first time in a long time that they haven't had top tier receivers going into the draft. They don't have any first round picks in this draft at wide receiver. And when's the last time we've been able to say that about Alabama? So
yeah, really.
This is a bit of a different, more NFL style offense. Like when you're getting drafted first overall, you're going to a bad team. And I think that's kind of what Bryce Young is dealing with right now because this is not a fully complete superstar team. But we are getting a little bit off track. This
evaluating one of them's a Panthers. One of them's a Panthers, going to be the Panthers quarterback. So we're not really.
I don't. That's kind of what I'm saying though, is because I don't know that they will. Panthers are winning too many games. You can't win. They're one game out of the first in division, which albeit they're 2-5. But
who has the worst record in the league right now? Is there? I feel like every team have at least one win. I mean, not one win. Every team at least has one win, but two. Yeah. I'm saying. I don't know.
Where are the Lions at? Lions are 1-5, right? Yeah, Lions are 1-5.
Yeah, we have a lot of teams with 2 wins. The Texans have 1 win.
Texans are a bad team.
Texans, Lions both have 1-4, 1-5.
Steelers,
I think have.
Yeah, they got Steelers.
2. But Steelers are another team, man. I mean, I'm ready to jump ship to that.
Yeah. Well, I want to start on the other side of that game. That was way too close for Miami. They should have Tua threw 3 interceptions that were dropped. They should have lost that game. We're talking about a 3-4 Miami team after people were talking about Super Bowl. We got to start having a conversation here. This is not a great team, and they are not performing very well. They're Greg Little, their right tackle, has allowed 9 more pressures than any other tackle in the league. That is, you cannot have that. So I don't know that this offensive line is still a problem. You can't just add one good player to the offensive line and expect it to be fixed. And then you have this quarterback situation where Tua is not playing well and he's hurt and all of this and all that. I don't know that I see this team going too far.
I think the whole concussion thing with the Tua getting injury, that just killed them. Like, it really just killed this franchise. I mean, as a player, knowing that your ownership and your team really does not give a fuck about you, you know, they just want to make the money, and they make that very clear with their decision on Tua. That probably just killed the team morality and just everything surrounding it. One little thing I want to point out real quick that I saw, which I found was funny, Orlando Brown, he turned down that huge contract extension this offseason. He's right behind Greg Little, which I thought was really funny. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. If you have the chance to get the bag, secure it in most cases. But anyway, I totally agree with you. The Dolphins, their offensive line is not good. Tua, he had his good little stretch of 2 games, but he did not look good yesterday against the Steelers defense. And I don't know. I mean, I like Mike McDaniels, but they definitely had a lot of things to fix. And if Lamar Jackson's on the market, I think Miami's going to give everything that they own up for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, they should, but I feel like Lamar goes 1 year on the franchise tag, probably. I don't think he'll go 2, but I don't know. Like, is he willing to just sit out? Is Lamar Jackson going to sit out in his prime? Because how does that work financially for him? I hope they go make that move. I'd like them to. I'd like to see Lamar in a situation where he can actually win a Super Bowl, because the Ravens aren't doing it for him. They're just not surrounding him with the right talent and the right coaching staff, I should say. But that's a bit of a different conversation. But yeah, I mean, the Dolphins, they are a quarterback away, but how long can you last like a quarterback away? Your roster's got old players on it. Like X-Man, he's like 29, almost 30. Armstead, he's not getting any younger. You've got Tyreek Hill is in his prime. You want to compete with him right now. Fast guys don't get faster as they get older. So you've got a couple of guys like that on your roster. You want to compete now.
When was the last time, or I don't even know if there was, that a quarterback played on a franchise tag? That's my whole point with this. I don't think Lamar, especially, the way he plays his game, will accept that. And I do not blame him for that. And I think it's either going to be the Ravens extend him or he gets traded. Because if I'm Lamar, even though that's a huge 1-year deal that he would be offered, be worth, one injury, and that's millions and millions and millions of dollars that you're putting out on the line.
But look at the Russell
I think he made that very clear.
Lamar Jackson is much better than Russell Wilson. Are the Dolphins going to be willing to give up 3 firsts and 2 players? And if they do, are they still going to be able to be competitive? Because look where the Denver Broncos are at. Jesus.
I absolutely think the Miami Dolphins will be doing that. I think Lamar Jackson is miles ahead of where Russell Wilson was last offseason. And I said that last offseason. You can check my tweets for my verification on this. I was not a big Russell Wilson trade guy. And I mean, if I'm the Dolphins, I'm doing that. If your price is 3 first-round picks, maybe 2 seconds, and I don't really know what players they would put in that right now, but you're trying to win. You're trying to win the Super Bowl. And if you have the opportunity to go out and get Lamar Jackson obviously wants to go play in a big market team. He made that very clear. And I feel like he just really wants out of Baltimore at this point. If you have the green light to go do it, go do it. Because as we've talked about multiple times on this podcast, if you're a GM and you're on the hot seat and you have to make that one big move, go do it. And that's the thing with the Miami Dolphins. It seems like nobody's really ever on the hot seat, which is the little weird thing about that franchise. But we'll see. But if I'm him,
Flores.
Yeah. But if I'm him, I'm making that move.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I feel like it's the move you should make, but it's a risky move to make after seeing what's happened recently. But then again, you can go to the flip side of it and say, well, Matthew Stafford. But also look at the Rams right now. Bit of a huge risk, but it's one that sometimes you got to take. If you're right there and you've got nothing else but the quarterback to fill, you got to do it.
Do you think Lamar gets 10 years, or do you think he gets like 5 or 6?
No. It's not smart for either party to give Lamar 10 years. I think a guy like Mahomes is a guy you give 10 years, not a guy that they use his legs so much. Lamar is going to be, I think it'll be probably the highest AAV at about 4 years, maybe 5 at max, but he won't get over 5 years. So I think
that's totally worth it then. 5
years. I want to say 400, but that's it. That's 80 mil a year, but I don't think that he's going that much. I could see 5,300, 5,250, somewhere in that range. I mean,
if we're
what do you think he's asking for?
Oh, he's asking to be the highest paid, 100%. Especially to the Ravens right now, I think there's no question about it.
I think they would. If he was just asking to be the highest paid, they would have done it already. I think they would have done. I think he's asking for that and some. I think he's asking.
I think he wants like 8 years, 7, 8 years. If I'm being honest, I think it's around there.
That would be so weird for him. I feel like I feel like a team would be more inclined to give you more money in a shorter period of time because it's more security for both parties. I don't know. I'd rather take that personally, but
I think he should get like a 5-year contract, as you've been saying. I mean, he's 25 years old right now, so you got to look at it. The start of next season, he'll be 26. So teams should be looking at this as, look, if we want to give him a 5-year deal, but he's asking for maybe 6, maybe 7, you also got to look at the window. If you can get 1 Super Bowl out of this, it's probably worth it. But
then
there's all the other factors.
You're saying he's 25, getting out at 30 from a 5-year deal. I'd rather be coming off a contract at 30 years old than coming off a contract at 32. You're going to get much more money in free agency at 30 years old than you are at 32. So I think that it all makes so much sense for Lamar Jackson to do that 5-year, $300 million. It's just who's going to give him that? Because somebody will. I guarantee you that somebody will give you that contract. But it depends who's willing.
I mean, he might. If he's looking for more years, maybe he's actually banking on his skill set. Because take Lamar's. I mean, I'm not trying to be that guy, but take Lamar's legs out. That's a lot off of his game right there. I mean, we literally saw the running back. He was placed at running back. 3 days ago after that one play, which was kind of funny on the fourth down. So I don't know. There's a lot of things to consider, but if I'm a GM and if I can get this guy for maybe 5, maybe 6-year contract, I'm doing it. 4, 5, 6 years. That's what I'm trying to go for. If he wants 10, I'm probably going to have to back out because, as you said, there's probably 2 guys in the league right now who I would consider giving a 10-year contract to. And those are the 2 top guys right now, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
I wouldn't do it for Josh Allen.
I would, but I would if the Bills knew how to have a running offense.
Yeah, but they
That's
don't.
what I would say.
And so you pay Josh Allen 10 years and you look.
What's his contract?
Imagine if the Panthers were like, after Cam Newton won MVP, Cam, 10 years, $500 million. They would be still paying that to this day. And I think that Josh Allen is about the closest thing we have to Cam Newton. And I know that's a crazy comparison and people will hate it, but that's because these sports fans today are still in high school and they do not remember when Cam Newton was the fucking man. Like there was no quarterback.
Superman. His nickname is Superman.
He was super, and it was for a reason. There was no quarterback built like him. There was no quarterback with his arm strength. Like you want to talk about arm talent, Cam Newton could throw the ball 85 fucking yards. So there was no quarterback with his arm talent, his body, or his rushing ability. Cam Newton was a real trendsetter that just went to the shittiest organization in sports, and they still managed to make the Super Bowl and go 15-1.
Josh Allen's contract is a 6-year contract that will pay Josh Allen $258 million, $150 million guaranteed, with an average salary of slightly more than $43 million per season. I think that Lamar Jackson's contract should be in the same type of ballpark. That's what I'm thinking.
I think he's asking for much more.
I think he's asking for much more, which is, I'm not giving him $60 million a year. That fucks your franchise. That literally fucks your franchise over.
You know what fucks your franchise? Losing Lamar Jackson. Having Tyler Huntley start at quarterback.
Yeah, well, the Ravens are a shit show. They fucked up. I mean, they literally brought Deshaun Jackson in to be like their wide receiver 2 right now. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, Baltimore? So enough with the Baltimore Ravens.
Kenny Pickett. He sucks.
Oh, yeah.
God, I 6 picks, 1 touchdown in his first 3 games. Like, and Steelers fans are trying to tell me it is the best 1 touchdown to 6 interception ratio of all time. Like, oh, he's played great. It's just things aren't going his way. Maybe things aren't going his way because he's not playing great. How about that? Kenny Pickett just does not have the talent to make the throws that are needed to be made. I mean, look at his weapons. He does not have bad weapons around him. I don't care about the offensive line. The offensive line, it gives him at 2.9 seconds on average. That's right below the NFL average, just barely below the NFL average. So I don't care. Like, it's a fairly decent offensive line. He's not making it happen. He was touted as this guy that's going to come in and be ready right away because he's 25 years old already, and he's just not. He does not have the redeeming physical qualities to make him a guy that you can bet your franchise on. And like I've been saying since week 3 or whatever week it was when he stepped in, Steelers are going to be looking for a quarterback this offseason. They just are. They do not. It's so obvious. I bet you could see it before when he was playing at Pitt, which is what made that pick so like outstandingly horrible to me. You could just see he did not have it to be an NFL plus quarterback. And it's just showing itself on the field now. And you need that to win. Like, you just need a good quarterback to win. The 49ers are such an outlier with Jimmy Garoppolo because they were able to design such an elite running scheme, but teams adapt. Teams figure things out, and NFL coaches are so smart, which is why it's so weird to me that Mike Tomlin was the guy that was behind the ball on this one. He's normally been a guy that's been fairly decent at his job, I'd say. And he whiffed on a quarterback. And it's been a couple times that Mike Tomlin, he hasn't been able to develop a quarterback. He just was gifted Ben Roethlisberger. Sorry, we might have to cut that out. But he was just gifted Ben Roethlisberger. And you had Mason Rudolph you were trying to develop, Devlin Hodges, and now Kenny Pickett. That's like the worst track record I've seen from a quarterback development ever. So Mike Tomlin does not have it.
The Steelers are in a shit show right now. I mean, these players seem to be they don't like Mike Tomlin right now. They don't like their offensive coordinator right now. We all saw that Chris Boswell little snippet on TikTok and everything and on social media. The Steelers need to make a few changes, and it's very evident. as you said, I could definitely see the Steelers this offseason, the draft, if they have the opportunity to go get one of those top 3 guys. And Kenny Pickett, we talked about this, as you just said. You got to go do it. Say, fuck it, we made a mistake, and that's really it. Do I think they're going to do that? No. As I said, I think they're going to have a Daniel Jones type of situation where they just hold on to him and they kind of really don't want to admit their mistakes. And they're like, well, he has the potential to be this, has the potential to be that. Daniel Jones has been showing a little bit more this season, but you know exactly what I mean. I just don't. I feel the Steelers are a franchise where they're kind of live and die by their decisions a little bit. I think it's going to come to fuck them in the ass.
Here's what's actually going to happen in week. What is this? That's week 18. In week 16, about whatever this is, they play the Panthers, and Kenny Pickett in one of the last weeks of the season is going to have an insane for no reason game where everybody's wide open because Dante Jackson can't cover Deontay Johnson, and he's just going to be wide open the whole game. And Kenny Pickett's going to throw for like 3 touchdowns, 300 yards because it's the worst team that they're playing, and the Panthers are tanking. And everybody that's going to be the game that Steelers fans cling on to and say that Kenny Pickett is like their franchise quarterback, and it's going to save his job for another offseason. And we're going to be talking about the same thing next year. That's what's that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the Steelers, as I said, even if the scouts and everybody in the front office goes, oh my God, like we fucked up with this kid, man. I just don't see a world where they go out this offseason and they go draft a quarterback, because the whole city of Pittsburgh was behind this guy. And, we've talked about this. They drafted this guy for the story, because it was cool, and it was cool. And it'd be a lot cooler if he was actually worth where he was drafted. As we've talked about, if another team wanted this guy so bad, he would have been drafted already before the Steelers were going to get him. Everybody knew that Pittsburgh was going to take this guy where he dropped. And if the Steelers ever took him, where would this guy have been drafted? Maybe late second round, third round? Like, he is on the same level, I'm saying, of draft guy, I guess you could say, as Malik Willis. And I would have taken Malik Willis over Kenny Pickett. 100%. I think he's worth more of the risk.
90% of the people that were evaluating quarterbacks last year would have said the exact same thing, that Malik Willis was the number one prospect. He didn't go to the 3rd round. So yeah, exactly. What separated Kenny Pickett that made him a first-round pick? I'll tell you what it was. I'll put you right into the Pittsburgh draft room right now. Here we go. We're on the clock at 21, and the most valuable position in football is quarterback. There's a quarterback sitting on the board that, like, we don't even need him to be good. We like all the other positions on our roster. We're sitting at the 21st pick. We're just a quarterback away. If we can get a quarterback on a rookie deal, why not? Why not take a shot? Like, we can develop a quarterback. No, you can't just develop anybody. That's not how this works. You need to get a guy in the building. And Kenny Pickett was so far from a guy. And
that's the thing, though. If they wanted him this bad, they could have just waited till the 2nd or 3rd round. I really think they could have.
Well, that's the thing. If you want him that bad, you don't wait. If you want your quarterback that badly, you take him when you as soon as you can. But the thing is, what should have really set the alarms off is there were 20 teams that picked before, and 20 teams passed on Kenny Pickett, and not all of them needed a quarterback. Well, a couple of them needed a quarterback, and none of them took the guy. None of them took anybody else. And for a couple rounds, nobody else was taken. Yet Kenny Pickett stood out. He was the guy drafted, and it wasn't because of his elite physical tools. It wasn't because of his elite college production. It wasn't because he was a young prospect with some potential. No, it was because the Steelers needed a quarterback, and he fit the bill a little bit. It didn't work. It's not going to work.
That's the thing. He's the same age. He's like 5 months younger than Lamar Jackson. Like, what are we doing?
Like, who's older? This guy in the first round? Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett? I'll figure that out, because I feel like it's probably Rudolph. I don't know.
He's 2 years older, Mason Rudolph. But that proves your point right there. I mean, this guy was just not worth. It just blows my mind that NFL scouts who are paid to do this, like, evaluate all the little things. Because if I was getting paid to do this, I would know, like, what breakfast cereal he eats in the morning, like, just every little thing. And the age, especially with quarterback, I mean, I'm not trying to be that, like, into it, but that's a factor, especially with a guy who coming in, everybody sees this guy as, most people, at least I did, but as a project. And what do you want? You want your project quarterback to finally start finding his footwork at 28 years old. No, it's not what you want. And the Steelers, they got an F for this grade, and they're going to regret this decision for a long time after they next draft. I can already see him now. You said you were in the Steelers draft, and I can see the podium after the draft, and they asked them about sticking with Kenny Pickett, and they're going to go, you know what? He was our guy last year, and he's still our guy, and we're riding with Pickett. And then all the Steelers fans are going to say, absolutely, blah, blah, blah. And there we go. We're going to have the end.
I've never got more pushback from a fan base on Twitter than from saying Kenny Pickett's not good. Anytime I can even put Kenny Pickett, it's instantly I get replies from Steelers fans. And it's just like, they will defend this man with their life. And for what? What has he given you?
He has given them a cool 20-minute story on draft night. That's what he's given them so far. But I'm kind of done talking about Kenny Pickett. We all kind of know. Everyone knows our opinion on him. Let's move on to the Green Bay Packers, another team that we've talked about on this podcast, another team that I did not believe in going into this season, and they're proving me 100% right. They lost to Taylor Heineke on Sunday, and they sit at 3-4 right now. Jair Alexander got cooked by Terry McLaurin. Aaron Rodgers does not look like he's having a good time. This team needs help. And Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur seem to not be on the same page right now, which that's a big issue when your franchise quarterback and your head coach don't seem to be on the same page. What is your thoughts on this Packers team? Does a wide receiver one fix all their problems?
Not all of them, but here are the Packers' issues. Their special teams is still not fixed, so it's a little bit better. Their defense is not as good against the run as it should be. I honestly feel like they probably could use a new defensive scheme. Their defense has so much talent without the production that it might be time to just flip it up. They should be a top 2 defense in the league. But offensively, yes, you need your players to get separation. I don't care how good of a quarterback, how tight of a window he can throw it into. If there are no windows, the ball will not get completed. So that's kind of what it comes down to. Nobody's getting open on the Packers. There's not one player creating any inch of separation, not even Romeo Doubs at this point. Like, he's a good guy that you can scheme catches for, but he's not somebody that's like actively creating separation on the boundary. And neither is Christian Watson. He's a fast guy and he's been hurt so far, but he's not somebody who's elite route running. He's not getting himself open. He's a guy with measurables and tools that you can coach up, but he's not there yet. So that probably won't end up working for them, if I'm being completely honest, based on the current trajectory. But yeah, I think a wide receiver one fixes a lot of their issues. Like, this team with Devontae Adams would be moving the chain so much more on third down. They'd be scoring a lot more touchdowns. I mean, this is a team scoring around 20 points already. They'd be scoring close to 30. Like, I mean, losing Devontae Adams was such a huge loss. I don't think it could even be compensated at all. It's kind of crazy that they just didn't fill that role with anybody. It was like Sammy Watkins was what they were expecting to bring in and have that be kind of the same thing, have him create separation. But if you're not creating any separation, you're not moving the chains. And then you have the issue of their offensive line being completely hurt, which is stopping them from completing the short game and leaning on being one of the best running teams in the league, which people thought they could be. I thought they could be with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. But if you don't have the offensive line creating the holes, you can't really make anything happen there. So need more weapons, and they need their offensive line to get healthy. Could use a new defensive coordinator if things are still trending the way that they are.
Yeah, their rushing attack was horrible this week. They have 38 yards on 12 attempts. I mean, Aaron Jones still had 2 touchdowns in the receiving game, and that just proves our point a little more. When your running back one is your best wide receiver too, you know what I mean? It's just not going to work, especially in the playoffs. And if this team right now stays exactly where they're at, doesn't make any moves, which I can realistically see, knowing the Green Bay Packers, a team that kind of just likes to stay in their ways, I can see a way that this team doesn't make the playoffs, if I'm being 100% honest right now. I mean, I know it's early in the season. I know it's October, but I'm saying, considering they don't make a major move for a wide receiver, I 100% believe that. I think one guy that should be on their radar, and even if you have to overpay a little bit, go out and get DJ Moore. Go out and get DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers. This guy is 25 years old. He'd be an instant wide receiver one on your offense. And, he's not Devontae Adams, but hell, he's better than Romeo Doubs or Lazard right now as your wide receiver one.
Yeah, I think they've got probably their biggest test coming up this next week. They got Buffalo in Buffalo. They lose that game, drop to 3-5, and don't make a move. Their season's done. I'd like them to make the move before this game. Get somebody in. You need somebody to beat Buffalo, but I don't know that they've got the time right now. It's Tuesday, games on Sunday night. So
yeah, and how you can't really get them into the scheme that early, I guess. I mean,
well, ask the Niners. They got Christian McCaffrey in there in a day.
Niners are a different story. They work faster than everybody. They're on that West Coast time.
But yeah, it's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean the Packers, been saying it since the beginning. I don't believe in them, and they need to show me that they have balls. That's really it. Go out and make a move because we talk about it all the time. You're a sports franchise. Your goal is not to win regular season games, which you've been saying it. I've been saying it. That's the Packers' goal. Like every single year, let's go out. Let's win 12 games, and let's go to the divisional round, and let's have everybody bet on us to win this game, and then we're gonna lose it, and that's just how it is. And then Aaron Rodgers might retire, he might not retire. It's the same story every single year. And I think if the Packers stay this way, they don't make the playoffs, they make no changes, I think Aaron Rodgers will be either retired next year or I think he's gone. Because if there's anything right now, it has to be this. Like that, if there's something worth bitching about right now, if you're Aaron Rodgers, it is this situation that he's in right now.
I really want Claypool on the Packers.
That'd make a lot of sense, and it'd be great. That's the thing with the Steelers. Like the Steelers are just another franchise. Like, you think they're going to trade him? Like
Yeah.
I mean, like I think they should, but
they should. They've got 4 wide receivers, and none of them are getting the ball.
Imagine. Okay, just hypothetical. Imagine Aaron Rodgers with that wide receiver corps. That would just be a dream come true for that man.
Remember last year when Tomlin and Rodgers had the little thing on the sidelines? Like, yeah, that was the huge rumor. Like, oh man, Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh, and then he signed the fucking 2-year, $100 million or whatever, 3-year. I don't care, man. Aaron Rodgers, whatever. Do what you want, man.
You kind of you put yourself in this situation.
You made the sandwich.
You made the sandwich, and he bit into it. You can't pass it to the lunch. You can't trade it to the lunch table now. Anyway, Seahawks Chargers. That's another great game. Another great story with Geno Smith. Wow, this was a game that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. I guess you could say. I mean, I think the Seahawks were a lot better than people were making them seem, but. Geno Smith, man, like, is this going to end? Like, is he going to get a contract extension?
This wasn't even Geno game. This was the Kenneth Walker game, dude.
Oh, that is true.
We played each other in fantasy this week, and I had to play against Kenneth Walker, and yeah,
my best fantasy pickup. I was gonna drop him week 3 too. At one point, I was considering.
I mean, I was begging you. I had Rashad Penny, and I just needed it. I knew the Seahawks offense was going to be a little better than people were expecting is running the ball, but he wouldn't give him up, so I was kind of upset. But whatever. Anyway,
Kenneth Walker looks fantastic, though. The dude has everything.
He runs. I don't know if you've watched. I'm sure he runs like Tyreek Hill. Like he's got that. He's so weird built, and you know how Tyreek Hill does the little flailing of the arms while he runs, and he's stomping the ground, but it's just moving incredibly fast. That's how Kenneth Walker moves, and those kind of guys are so fucking hard to bring down. Like, how do you? It just looks weird coming at you. You don't know how they're changing direction. You don't know how they're shifting at all, and that's gonna work for a long time in this league. 7.3 yards per carry today, or Sunday, I should say, and 2 touchdowns. The Chargers' rush defense is absolutely terrible, again, by the way. But I don't know, man. Kenneth Walker, he's really cool. He's fun to watch. Speaking of fast guys that had a great game, Marquise Goodwin, what happened here?
2 touchdowns, 70 yards.
So I put a bet on DK Metcalf for this game because I was expecting DK to show up. I put the over on him. 1 catch because all the catches went to fucking Marquise Goodwin. 4 for 67, 2 touchdowns. Where
he did get hurt to be
DK. Oh yeah, well yeah, but that was not really an injury. Let's be honest. He's fine. So whatever, but that was surprising to me, especially because I thought Marquise Goodwin was out of the league. I completely forgot about him. Like, I know that he's been playing he has a couple catches this year, but I probably just chalked it up to Goodwin. Like, oh, wow, rookie named Goodwin. Figure out who that is later. No, it's Marquise Goodwin. This guy has been around for a long time, and he's kind of like an underrated name in the NFL because he's so fast. He's just got that. He's another one of those guys that runs weird. So, yeah.
The Chargers, though, man, like this was a team that I had high hopes on. I mean, I was saying if they stayed healthy, but that JC Jackson contract now is starting to look awful. I mean,
I'm taking
he's
a
out for
huge
the year
victory
now.
lap here.
4-3 right now. I think they're gonna have a head coaching change by the end of the year, and Keenan Allen is washed. I mean, like I know was his first game since week 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he did
Yeah,
not look good at all. And there's just a lot of things wrong with this team right now. Their rushing defense, you know, as you said, they seemed like they tried to fix that this offseason, and it is still horrible. The guy that they brought in to be their cornerback, one lockdown cornerback, it's very clear that he was a product of the scheme.
This is getting very close to Nnamdi Asomugha territory.
Yeah.
I never understood how to pronounce that guy's name, Asamoah, or however you say it. But this is as close as it can be, and he is on a 5-year, $100 million contract. So Chargers fans, buckle in. That's all I got to say. And you're getting the same thing with Khalil Mack. I've been saying, I'm taking my victory lap here. I knew that I've been saying J.C. Jackson was a guy that was a product of Belichick's system. What do you think is more likely? The fact that Belichick manages to get every single year a new cornerback that's very good, and then somehow that same cornerback falls off after they leave? Or do you think it's just Belichick's system is very good and cornerbacks produce in that system? I'd like to bet that it's that, and I think we're being proved that with Jack Jones, now the rookie, who's coming out and playing incredible. Jonathan Jones, the other. How do they have those two cornerbacks named Jack and Jonathan? Like, that's pretty funny. But they've got those two cornerbacks playing lockdown. Those are not two lockdown cornerbacks. That's just what this system is. They force turnovers, and we've all known J.C. Jackson as the turnover guy. When those aren't coming, he's getting burnt. So that's kind of like what I knew that wasn't really going to work with J.C. Jackson. The writing was all over the wall. Khalil Mack was hurt all of last year. Like, his first 4 games were great. Then he didn't play. Are you really betting on a 33-year-old pass rusher to come back from that injury and still be as good as he was for a 4-game stretch at the beginning of the year? That's not something you want to. What was it?
Khalil Mack looks decent right now, though. He looks pretty good.
He does not look that. Oh, come on. He does not look like Khalil Mack. He looks like an all-right cleanup edge rusher. He looks probably closer to Jadeveon Clowney than he does to Khalil Mack, if I'm being honest.
I wouldn't say like he's in his elite prime anymore. Like defensive.
He does not have the burst around the edge.
But I wouldn't say he's on the J.C. Jackson level. I mean, what is he?
I think it's pretty close.
Year and a half left on the contract, something like that.
That's true, but it's a huge contract. And if this iteration of the team doesn't work, because this is the team you need to win with, otherwise Justin Herbert's leaving. You're not gonna, if you don't make the playoffs with Justin Herbert one time on his rookie contract, how do you convince him to stay? How do you do that? And it's going to be 3 head coaches because Staley's going to get fired. How do you convince him to stay? So
Herbert to the Dolphins.
Herbert anywhere. I mean, they'd have to make up for their mistake of taking 2 over him. But I don't know. Would they be able to admit that? But
I was on that on draft night.
You were. I'll give you your credit for that. That was huge. But the huge issue with this Chargers team at the end of the day is that their weapons in general have no speed. They are just Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Carter, Sony Michel, Isaiah. There's nobody with speed on this team. So you're not. I think Justin Herbert made 1 throw over 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, like 1 completion. So I don't trust it, man. They're not able to create the explosives, and it's going to be a very bad year for Herbert, I believe. And I think he's talented. He's very talented. He's a top 8 talent. I'll give him top 6 talent in the league. When I think people were kind of pushing the limit, going with Josh Allen, Mahomes level, he just does not have the system around him. So I think here's why I don't want to go too far off track, but here's why I think that Mahomes is there's a separation between Mahomes, Allen, and him. I think if you were to drop Mahomes and Allen onto this team, it's still a competitive team. It's still making the playoffs. Look at Mahomes' team right now. They don't have speed. He's making it work because he's able to do it a different way. Herbert's whole thing is his arm talent. He's not able to really figure out how to take the heat off the ball in the middle of the field yet. He's not able to layer throws. He's not able to just float the ball in there like some other quarterbacks can. So that's why I'm not as high on Herbert as some people putting him in the top 3.
I do agree. I don't think he's a top 3 quarterback, but I also think that has a lot to do with the scheme. I mean, I think if Herbert had a scheme like the Bills or the not really the Bills, but like the Chiefs, he was in that type of offense, he would flourish in an offense like that. I mean, he has an offensive genius in Andy Reid, and every single coach that Justin Herbert's had so far in the NFL kind of seems like a dumbass. So the Chargers need to fix a lot of shit, but I do agree. I don't think he should be even mentioned in that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes debate, but they need to fix a lot of things, and it starts with the head coach, in my opinion. Get it done now, and cut the cord. Cut the cord. That's really what it has to end with. I mean, this was a team coming into this year with like 15, 14 win expectations from a lot of people.
But can you fire a coach when you're 4-3?
Like, can you? But there's always a first. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, when you beat the Broncos, the Browns, the Texans, and what was it? The Raiders? Yeah. Not too many great wins in there. Some losses to the Saints, a 28-point loss to the Jags, loss to the Texans and the Seahawks.
Exactly.
And they could be like 7 and I'd say 6-1 because they probably were going to lose that Chiefs game either way. They should be 6-1.
There's just a lot of it's the curse of San Diego, to be honest. They are just never going to win. Ever since they didn't win there, but hell, the Chargers
had a fan base.
Yeah, they don't have. Did you watch any of the Chargers games? Like, do you ever just like see the stands? There's nobody there.
It's upsetting. Any LA sports game, you will never like even the Lakers games. They don't fill up. It's so bad. Like, how did this happen? How did this? Even the Coliseum, when the Rams were in the Coliseum, it was rocking, dude. Like, that was the most exciting environment in sports from what most people were saying. And then they changed, and then it's just, man, the NFL screwing themselves over. I mean, did you see the I know we got to start moving on to the MLB fairly soon, but did you see the Tennessee Titans new stadium? It's dope. All in. I hate it. All indoors,
cool.
Turf field. Like,
I don't like the turf field.
It looks too futuristic. It's not a football stadium anymore. Like, go play football. We're not going to watch a fucking super futuristic movie. We're going to watch football. Like, this is not a show. This shouldn't be a show, especially not in Tennessee. Tennessee football should be played out in the. I don't know, man. I think maybe I'm like too old school on that, but like, I feel like it's kind of stupid.
I like the idea of the roof. That's what I think. I think a lot of NFL stadiums should have a roof by now. I mean, that's just smart for a marketing standpoint of it. I don't hate it. I mean, then there's like
play in
Chicago
the snow.
Right now.
What is more fun than playing in the snow, dude?
Then there's like Soldier Field right now, where Chicago said, we won't build you a new stadium, but we'll renovate the whole thing and make it look pretty cool. But the Bears don't want to do that. And Chicago, in retaliation, said, we'll have another team come into play right now. So they're kind of playing a lot of hooky right now, the Chicago Bears in the city of Chicago. I'm interested to see what happens there. Tennessee, they're not as interesting to me. I think they'll get a new stadium at the end of the day. But
they already started building.
Yeah,
it looks like a fucking Topgolf, dude.
Whatever. It's not my team.
Yeah.
It'll look cool on Instagram, I guess, when I see it. Anyway, moving on to the World Series right now.
It's about time.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. That's all I have to say. The Philadelphia Phillies are in the World Series against the Houston Astros. But this is a classic underdog story right now. It feels better because it's my team in the playoff, your team in the big series. But when you look at the numbers, when you compare both teams, Houston should win this series in 4 to 5 games. And, that's hard to say. But the pitching staffs, the bullpen, the lineup is a little more even if you're comparing that. But when I've always said it comes down to pitching if you want to win a world championship in baseball. But there's one thing that will be carrying this Philadelphia team, and it is momentum. And we have seen that time and time again in sports, the underdog story, especially in baseball. I mean, the NL East right now, they own the Houston Astros. I mean, we have the Atlanta Braves beating them. We have the Washington Nationals, and it's Philadelphia's time to beat them. And this is a 7-game series. You know, the 2 first games in Houston. We have the three in Philly, and then 2 in Houston again, game 6 and 7. The only way that Philadelphia has a shot at winning this series is if they have to take game 1 or game 2 with Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola on the mound. Both are going to be on 10 and 11 days of rest. Aaron Nola is like, I don't know, what is that going to be, like 12 days of rest at that point? So there's really no excuse with the rest point of it. But I don't know. It's going to be an exciting series, I think. This is going to be a lot more exciting than the NLCS and the ALCS. And I'm not just saying that from a Phillies fan standpoint. I'm saying that from it's like a David versus Goliath moment, but I think this David got a little more juice, if I could say that.
I don't think so. I feel like it's a fairly easy loss for the Phillies. I feel like we kind of want our championship getting here. It feels like the vibe in the air is that like the Astros are like not somebody you can get past, and they've been that way the entire season. The pitching staff has 5 guys, and in a 7-game series, 5 starters that you can really rely on. I don't know how they're beatable. You really are, like you said, you're gonna have to jump on either Verlander or McCullers or Valdez, whoever starts game 2. You're gonna have to jump on them. If you can't, you're not gonna be able to win this series, because going back to Philly down 0-2 would be absolutely like, it would be a death sentence. You're not coming back from 0-2, especially not with the pitching you have after that, because the Phillies, they really rely so heavily on that 1-2 punch with Nola and Wheeler. That's how they win games. Those are I'd be interested to see their combined record with those two compared to the other starters in their lineup, because I'm sure it's fairly, I probably should have looked that up, but I'm sure it's fairly different and favoring Nola and Wheeler. So if you don't jump out to that early lead, I can see this series get out of hand pretty easily. I feel like that Astros lineup has way more juice from top to bottom.
See, I kind of disagree with that. I think the Phillies lineup matches up pretty heavily with them. I mean, the bottom half of that Houston Astros lineup is not that good. They have a revolving center fielder every game. They have one of the worst hitting catchers in baseball. And I don't know. I mean, yes, they have a lot of good top-heavy players. Gurriel decided to wake up finally in the ALCS. Jose Altuve has 3 hits so far this postseason. That's something else you have to look at.
Like how long is that going to last, though?
Yeah, you have to look at those little things too. But Yordan Alvarez, I mean, I'm a big Yordan guy. I've been saying this, but after his 2 home run performance against the Seattle Mariners, he has not been that good this postseason. And I'm not trying to use my bias right now, but there are little things in baseball, especially right now, that you have to learn how to attack. I mean, Zach Wheeler this postseason, 1.78 ERA, 25 innings pitched, 10 hits allowed, 5 earned runs, and a 0.51 WHIP. I mean, Aaron Nola, again, he had his one rough start that kind of boosted his numbers up a little bit, but 3.12 ERA, 17.1 innings pitched, 16 hits allowed, 6 earned runs, 1.10 WHIP. I think that if the Phillies offense can jump on one of these guys in game 1 or game 2, you're looking at this series from a completely different standpoint. If the Phillies lose both of these games, you're shot. Like, that's really it. But you have to get to the starters early in Houston. And the Mariners did that. And Justin Verlander, but it's a classic underdog story from a Phillies fan standpoint. Obviously, I want them to win, but I think Houston wins the series in 6 games. But I think the Phillies take at least one of them.
Yeah, it's sad to predict. I don't know that I see the full vision getting all the way there, man. Like, it's just, I don't feel it in my bones. Like 2017 Eagles. I was sitting there. I remember I was sitting in the car listening to the radio with my dad, and they were all saying, "Oh, they're not winning this game." I looked and I was like, "What the fuck are they talking about? We're easily winning this game." Like, I thought there was no way we were losing that Super Bowl, but this is a little bit different. Maybe I'm just matured as a sports fan. Maybe I've got better expectations, but I don't know. It doesn't feel the same to me.
The Phillies. I think the Phillies win game 1 of the series, if I'm being honest. I think Zach Wheeler has been the best pitcher in the postseason so far. And
you think
obviously absolutely. If you're looking at innings pitched with everything, he has the most innings.
You think they're starting Wheeler game 1?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's
8 days rest, 8, 9 days rest. You got to start. See, this is the way I'm looking at it. The Phillies don't start Wheeler. What are you doing? I don't think the extra 1 day rest is huge for Wheeler in that circumstance.
It's been Nola the whole year at number one. They won't switch it right now.
What do you mean?
Nola's been their one all year.
Because Wheeler was hurt there.
He got hurt towards the end of the year. Who started game one? Game one of the season. It was Aaron Nola. Who started game one?
But Wheeler started game one of the postseason.
Well, yeah,
that's because we're talking about that.
That's because we needed Aaron Nola pitch in the regular season because they needed him in the games to make the playoffs. He would be coming off 4 days rest.
Yeah,
Aaron Nola is their guy. I think they're going to be pitching Nola in game one.
I disagree with that. I think you got to go with the hot hand in Zach Wheeler, especially off of, what is it, 6 days rest at this point. I think it's going to be Wheeler versus Verlander. It's going to be the two aces on this team, and that's what you got to do, though. I mean, you're trying to go out there and win game one in Houston. You want the guy who's been pretty much undeniable right now. He's been unstoppable. 25.1 inning pitch, as I said. And how many hits? 5 earned runs, 10 hits.
Here's how I'm thinking about it.
Remarkable.
You're going to want Nola to pitch his second game at home. You're going to want him in game 5 because he's a much better pitcher at home. You're not going to want him to pitch game 2 and then have to go and see game 6, which would both be in Houston. You want Nola to get a chance at home because I feel like Wheeler's a guy who has more potential on the road to come in. I think if you go like Nola game 1 and if you're able to squeeze out game 1 with Nola, which I feel like it puts you in the best position to, you're able to put yourself in the driver's seat for the series at that point. Whereas if you're going with Wheeler, I feel like you're kind of putting yourself in a position for Nola to blow up because he is one of those pitchers that he'll have his moments where he kind of fucks up, and I feel like it just minimizes that chance if you give him a game at home as well.
I don't know. I feel like Nola's a warm weather guy. He's been known for that. He pitched in Houston. I mean, his last start of the season was phenomenal in Houston. And
that's a good
you got to look at all those little things. I mean, if it's cold in Philly, do you really want Aaron Nola throwing 7 innings? I mean, Aaron Nola had his one bad start of the postseason in San Diego, and I 1,000% put that on Rob Thompson for not taking him out earlier in that game after allowing 3 to 4 hits. I mean, that was just a momentum killer right there. So I don't know. Either way, Nola or Wheeler game 1, you have to go in Houston thinking we got to win one of these games. You're not going into there thinking you're going to win 2 because you're facing the best team in baseball. So we'll see. I think my 2 X factors though, for the Phillies, I got to go Ranger Suarez because if you're expecting to go deep in this series, you need at least 3 good starters. And right now the Phillies, they have 2. But Ranger Suarez had a very good game against the Padres. He should have gone deeper, but the defense killed them. And the other X factor I have for the Phillies, I have Rhys Hoskins because when he's on, he's one of the best hitters in baseball. But when he's off, all Phillies know he is not fun to watch. And my 2 X factors I got for Houston, I would have to say I have Jose Altuve right now as my X factor because if this guy starts hitting again, they're going to have a lot more depth in that lineup because he was of taken out of that whole series. Exactly. He was taken out of and they swept. So that's how dominant his pitching's been. And then we were all over the Yankees not being as good as they were billed to be at the beginning of the year. So they did get a fairly easy series there. I got to be honest. That's okay. Like when you look at the Astros road to this World Series.
It was so easy. I mean, look at their division. They've got 3 teams in that division that I could probably beat with like a JV team. That's how bad that division is. I mean, if I could just pitch around Mike Trout, I feel like I could probably beat the Angels with a collection of 4th graders.
and Ohtani.
Yeah, but I feel like I'll just take him out. I'll hit like 3 runs off him. Ball come in fast, ball go out fast.
Exactly. But there is it's 7 games, you got to play your best baseball for 7 games, 4 games, if you're being correct, I guess you could say. But, we've been saying it all season. You can't really predict playoff baseball because it's whoever wakes up feeling the best that day. And hell, if you send this series back to Philadelphia tied 1-1, and you have to play in front of that fan base, which has the highest winning percentage in playoff baseball right now, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And as a Philly sports fan, as you being a Philly sports fan, you got to think of it that way. I mean, Houston is a top dog. I've been saying it all year. We have to stop with the bullshit about saying that they're like a fake team or not good or Alex Bregman's not good, because Alex Bregman has been absolutely tearing it up this post. And he's had multiple big balls type of hits. I mean, he's had 3 monster shots. Jeremy Pena looks like a fucking stud right now. And Houston made the right decision not paying Carlos Correa. And it's going to be an uphill battle, but this is what you're here for, you know. And
Still hate
Phillies,
Alex Bregman.
you hate Alex Bregman?
I still can't stand the guy. I know he's one of your favorite players, but like, dude,
I like Alex Bregman.
He was cheating at the highest rate on the team. 40% of his at bats had bangs on them, dude. I'm almost like, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist because it's not what this podcast is about, but I feel like he's got to have something else now, because like, you think he just randomly stopped cheating? Do you think a cheater he got caught and just stopped? Like, how many times? Think about this in the real world. A guy cheats on his girlfriend, and she takes him back because he'll never do it again. Motherfucker just goes and does it again. She takes him back, does it again, does it again, does it again, and that's what the MLB keeps doing with this guy. And I feel like it's kind of what they did with PEDs too. Like, oh well, yeah, they cheated, but like, Dave Ortiz can make the Hall of Fame. This is okay. Like, it's just those kind of things that I feel like that's what kind of pissed me off with Alex Bregman. I'm not a Bregman fan. I feel like, and then he went over the whole thing with John Boy Media on Twitter, where he was like, "Oh, we buy our merch, or we don't buy merch from conspiracy theorists." Bro, it's not a conspiracy theory. You got caught. Like, there's nothing you can say. Like, stop being a fucking douche about it. Like, that's what I can't stand Alex Bregman. He's a fucking asshole.
He's not really one of my favorite players, but I'm just saying from a standpoint, I don't think he deserves all the disrespect that he's gotten this year, at least. I mean, he had a pretty damn good year this year, and he's having a really good postseason, but I don't think Jose Altuve deserves a lot of the hate that he gets.
I agree. I don't think Jose Altuve deserves really any hate. He was one of the guys that was very vocal about not wanting to cheat, about telling guys in the locker room to stop fucking banging on the trash cans because I'm not doing that. Like, it showed because he had the lowest percentage in like 1.2% of his at bats. So that is kind of the thing that really, I don't understand why Alex Bregman has a spot on the team. He should have been suspended for a long time.
That's the MLB's fault, though. The MLB is a trash can. Their front management. I mean, from that scandal, from the Astros literally just having to go on a podium and say, I'm sorry for what we did. And then they like just fucking they banned AJ Hinch for 1 year, and then AJ Hinch got another manager job. And then the way that they do their playoff formatting, it's just, they have a lot of things to fix. And especially in a league right now that seems to be gaining a lot of more viewers, you would think they would run with this, but no, we're still scheduling games for 1:30 on a Tuesday.
What's more likely? The MLB or players completely stopping cheating once they got caught, or players moving on from the very Neanderthal technology of banging on a trash can to some more advanced ways that we have with technology today? I mean, that reminds me of, did you see the cheating scandal in chess with the guy with the thing in the...
That was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, well, he had a plug that he had that vibrated in him whenever he could see like a move that he had to, or whatever. You don't think people are using that in baseball? That would be the most obvious competitive advantage and the hardest thing to spot. You don't think, obviously not like the exact same thing as chess, but there's other ways with technology, and like people that have done it again are way more prone to do it later, which is why I'm not really willing to. I don't like any of those guys that were in that top percentage. Like, those guys are they're trash. Like Gurriel, who, like, it was very nice seeing Gurriel have a bad season. I don't care about a few good hits. He was obviously cheating. Like, his numbers skyrocketed, and then they sucked after. Like, it's just all those guys, man. Kyle Tucker, like, just fuck that team, bro.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Look, coming into this series, I've been looking at their playoff stats, comparing them. The Astros offense has not been that good. It's been all of their pitching. I mean, their top guys this postseason. Let's just start.
that's like the thing that I have the problem with. I don't know if I have to like separate the two because I know I'm not the pitchers aren't cheating, and I fuck with Verlander. I like Valdez. I like McCullers. I like their pitchers. It's just the other side. Minus Altuve, I literally just separate Altuve from that, and all the new guys. I like Pena as well. Literally just Bregman and Gurriel. Why are they in the league? What are they doing?
It's your least favorite corner duo in the league.
It absolutely. They're like the anti Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt for me. They're like the reverse version.
So
yeah,
let's finish on this. What do the Phillies have to do to win this World Series or make it competitive against Houston?
The environment needs to be exactly like it was when we were there. I have never felt anything in my life more incredible.
I've never smiled for that long.
No, me either. I've never yelled that loud, smiled for so long, danced so much, jumped so high. None of it. Like I was up here all the way. And it's that the Phillies have over the Astros. The Astros, when I watched them go celebrate their ALCS championship, they weren't sprinting in. They weren't screaming. They weren't crazy excited. No, they jogged in from center field. They all did their normal taps because this is not anything special to them. The Phillies, they don't have the talent to beat the Astros. They are not as talented as the Astros at any level. Right now, they're playing as well, but look at these guys' entire career. None of them have the careers. I mean, Bryce Harper excluded. Kyle Schwarber is another one. But as far as like the entire list, JT Realmuto, but there's like 6 guys on this team that are nowhere compared to the level of player that are on the Astros. But right now, they've got that energy and that mojo and a whole entire city behind them. And maybe this is my Philadelphia bias, but it's so true. I mean, we were out there and they were climbing poles in front of City Hall 2 hours after the game. They had to shut down. Here's a good story. They had to shut down the City Hall train. We had to walk 10 blocks because City Hall train couldn't run with the amount of people above it. That's how crazy this whole city is and how much they love the teams. And I understand Philly sports get so much hate, but they are the most passionate fan base in the world, hands down. And nobody that's what they have over the Astros.
See, that's the other thing too. The whole baseball world right now, other than if you're a Houston fan, I'm not even saying Mets fans because Mets fans just fucking suck. Go fuck yourself if you're a Mets fan. But even Atlanta Braves fans right now, Miami fans or not Miami, Miami. They're rooting for the Phillies.
Miami's the reason the Phillies made the playoffs.
Yeah, if the Phillies win this World Series, I will buy a Marlins jersey. I'm putting that on this podcast right now.
Alcantara or Chisholm?
I can't get an Alcantara jersey.
Yeah,
I don't want a Marlins jersey, but I'll get like a fake $10 one on like eBay if we win. But
you're not getting a Marlins jersey.
I'm not getting a Marlins jersey. I'll get it in my head, mentally. I'll get a Marlins jersey.
I got you.
But
I got you.
The whole world is behind the Phillies right now, and you know what? You have to use that momentum. You have to use the whole Rob Thompson momentum, which I love Rob Thompson. He's a little overrated right now.
He makes like the worst calls ever. Like literally the worst calls. But
he's just lucky that they're working right now. So, we'll see. And you know what? I'm gonna take back my fucking Astros prediction because fuck the Astros. I'm going Phillies.
Do not.
No. I have predicted the Eagles to win every game. And I predicted the Phillies to win both of these series. So I'm riding with my horn right now. I'm going Phillies in 6. That's what I'm going.
I'm going Astros in 5.
Okay. Well, you know what? Fuck Houston. And let's go Phillies. Well, that's really all we got for today. I'm looking forward to this series. We'll be back next week. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And thank you guys so much. See you next time.